Welcome to ePathshala. I am Dr. Khushbu Mahajan and I am working as a research associate in the Department of Political Science, Punjab University. Today we are going to discuss the concept of understanding liberty, which comes under the key concepts part. Liberty is a very important aspect and it is basically a complex issue, and in understanding liberty has two basic ideas. One is that it comes in the sense of autonomy in the case of sovereign nation states, and on the other side it is the ability of the individual to achieve or to do the things whatever he or she wants to do. And liberty is the distinctive concept or principle of liberalism, but freedom is a universal principle. This is a distinguished quality of human being. This is a distinguished quality of a man, because man demands freedom and he himself evolves institutions to secure freedom for him and for his fellow beings. And as far as the other animals, insects and birds are concerned, they all are governed by the principle of survival of the fittest, and they don't need any concept or any issue like liberty or freedom. So in that sense, human being has the quality, and human beings have the ability to enjoy freedom and to, on the other hand, to give freedom to others. Once liberty is others duty, and one's right is others duty. Thus in this sense we can say that liberty is a very important concept of this part. Then now we'll discuss about this in detail. What are the objectives of this module? To explain the concept of liberty, negative liberty and positive liberty, to understand the views of various thinkers on the concept of liberty. What is the meaning of liberty? The term liberty is derived from Latin word liber, which means free from all shackles or bonds. The liberal writers use the term liberty and freedom synonymously. According to Hobbes, in an ideal sense, liberty means a license or a condition to do what you like. In an acceptable sense, however, the term liberty means a man's right to do what is worth doing. Social life is bound by norms and principles that make the society livable and civilized. Liberty is thus a relative concept and is bound by restraints of legality and morality. What are the definitions of liberty? There are many thinkers who have given their definitions. According to Seeley, liberty is the opposite over government. And according to Hobbes, liberty consists in the absence of restraints. According to McKinney, freedom is not the absence of all restraints, but rather the substitutions of rational ones over the irrationals. Now, what is the scope of liberty? The problem of liberty involves the adjustment of claims between individual and the society. The state is the instrument or agency for regulating these relations. If the claim of the individual is stretched to an extreme in utter disregard of the interest of the society, liberty would be reduced to license. On the other hand, if liberty of the individual is increasingly restricted in the supposed interest of society, the result would be an unconditional submission to authority, hence the loss of liberty. Then there is the concept of negative and positive liberty, and this distinction is made between both of these liberties is made by Isaiah Berlin in his famous essay Two Concepts of Liberty in 1991. According to him, negative liberty is involved in the answer to the question that what is the area within which the subject, a person or group of persons is or should be left to do what he or she is able to do or be without interference by other persons. On the other side, positive liberty is involved in answer to the question, what or who is the source of control or interference that can determine someone to do or be this rather than that. So, negative liberty is about being left alone, whereas positive liberty is about being in control of one's life. For example, if a person may be unfree to leave her home because she is under house arrest, alternatively, she may be unfree to leave because she has a phobia that makes her fearful to leaving. In that sense, it makes her fearful of leaving. In the first case, she is negatively unfree to leave, whereas in the second case, she is positively unfree. Barker, in his essay Political Thought in England, says, liberty can only be liberty for this goodwill, and it can only be liberty for the pursuit of objects which such a will presents to itself. It is therefore no negative absence of restraints anymore, then the beauty is absence of ugliness, inheriting as it does in goodwill and in that will only. And this is not a power of pursuing any and every object, but a power of pursuing those objects which the good will presents to itself. Now, there is a difference between liberty and authority. In the words of John Locke, it can be said that where there is no law, there is no freedom. Authority is required not only for the existence of liberty, but it is also necessary to restrict liberty. Authority acts as a restraint on free choice of some sections of society, and authority can be restricted by the means of rule of law, periodic elections, separation of powers between legislature, executive, judiciary, and independent judiciary, and public opinion, etc. Then there is a relationship between liberty and license as well. When liberty is interpreted as the absence or removal of all restraints on the actions of individuals in utter disregard of the interest of other individuals, then liberty degenerates into license. And such a condition is not compatible with maintenance of liberty itself. And in that case, one man's liberty would become another man's constraint or oppression. Liberty of the strong would amount to the suppression of the swallow, the smaller one, and there would be still larger fish to swallow the former. And if freedom is not to become a prerogative of a single individual, or for that matter of a group of individuals, it must be regulated in such a way that none shall use his freedom so as to destroy the freedom of others. And there is an interface between authority, liberty, and license. As we can see from this figure, that liberty and authority has a relationship between them. When there is a due restraint on liberty and authority poses this restraint on liberty, it has its positive meaning. And when the liberty has undue expansion and it is reduced to license rather. So there is an interface between authority, liberty, and license, and in liberty there is due restraint posed by authority, and it becomes license when there is undue expansion of liberty. Freedom of thought and expression. Even if a person finds himself alone in expressing an opinion, he should, according to Mill, be free to express it. If all the mankind minus one were of one opinion and only one person were at the contrary opinion, mankind would no more be justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. Mill has a neat defense of this claim. Mill says that if the opinion is false, then the humanity again loses, because if the opinion is false, it will be shown to be so. but its expression is useful, for it forces us to restate the reasons for our beliefs, and a competition of ideas is healthy. According to Mill, if one person is of the contrary opinion to the whole society, he has the right to express his opinion, because he must have a strong point to say, and he has the right to say, and he must be given a chance to speak his point. And on the other hand, even if he is wrong or his opinion is wrong, even then he is justified to be given a chance to express himself, because in competition we can always have good ideas and variety of ideas. J.S. Mill has his own views on liberty. He is one of the greatest exponent of negative liberty. The importance of Mill lies in the refusal to compromise with individuals' liberty. According to Mill, individuals' activities are divided into two parts. One is self-regarding and another is others regarding. And he says that in self-regarding activities, these are exclusive, his concern, and which do not affect others. While in others regarding activities, individual has to interact with others, and in the self-regarding sphere, like choosing a career and taking care of himself and taking his own decisions, there should not be any control of others, and so one should be given absolute right and liberty, freedom and liberty in this regard. On the other side, he says, in the part which merely concerns himself, his independence is of right, absolute over himself, over his own body and mind. The individual is sovereign, but in others regarding matters, he must not be given absolute liberty or absolute freedom. In that sense, his freedom must be curtailed in the sphere which is others regarding, and his activities where he is affecting others. Liberty and rights. To know that where the liberty should be located and to whom it should be assigned, we need to learn about rights. There is a strong relationship between liberty and rights. Moral and legal rights have strong relationship with liberty, and one's right is understood as others' duty. Thus, the idea of liberty relies on moral and legal theory of rights. Locke talked about civil liberty in his second treatise on government. Where there is no law, there is no freedom. Freedom is not a liberty, for every man top do what he lists, but a liberty to dispose and order as he lists his person, actions, possessions, and his whole property within the allowance of those laws under which he is, and therein not to subject to the arbitrary will of another, but freely follow his own. He says that civil liberty depends upon positive laws such as legal rights, which are made by consent of citizens, whereas natural liberty depends upon the laws of nature, which includes basic rights and duties. Legal rights must be in sync with basic natural rights. So the government must make such laws distributing legal rights in order to protect basic natural rights. The society which doesn't recognize them is considered as unfit for human beings. For any given ethical theory of rights, civil liberty is equivalent to restriction of liberty. Locke says the freedom then of man and liberty of acting according to his own will is grounded on his having reason, which is able to instruct him in that law he is to govern himself by, and make him know how far he is left to the freedom of his own will. For a reasonable individual, liberty is valued as liberty associated with basic rights for his or her fellow citizens. Thus, we can say that liberty is more closely associated with natural rights, and it has more close relationship with natural rights, and these are again given by the state to the citizens in the form of legal rights. The meaning of liberty involves both sides of man's existence, that is, individual and social. Regulations are a stipulation in social life, and therefore the idea of liberty has also been bound with the necessity of suitable restraints. Liberty thus assumes a derivative value arising from the supreme value of moral personality acting and developing its values as such. The liberty which the state upholds and makes a principle of its action must be liberty relative to, and therefore regulated by the nature of such a personality. In this regard, Professor Leo Strauss says, there is no relation of man to man in which man is absolutely free to act as he pleases or as it suits him. By the virtue of this rationality, man has the latitude of alternatives, such as no earthly beings has. The sense of the latitude of this freedom is accompanied by a sense that the full and unrestrained exercise of that freedom is not right. Man's freedom is accompanied by a sacred awe, by a kind of divination that not everything is permitted. Restraint is therefore as natural or as primeval as freedom. T.H. Green has contributed to the positive aspect of the meaning of liberty, and he defines liberty as a positive power of doing or enjoying something that is worth doing or worth enjoying in common with others. The liberty of an individual should be considered in relation to the norms of society, because man is a social creature. Liberty can be defined as a positive power of doing and enjoying those things which are actually worthy of enjoyment. Liberty is essential to develop one's faculties. Individuals, while enjoying their liberty, should not restrain the liberty of other individuals. The state, though its laws, can create and force liberty on the individuals. There are two concepts of liberty, negative and positive, as we discussed. Negative liberty means absence of all the obstacles, barriers, constraints, or interference from others. According to positive liberty, the freedom of choice can be meaningful and can be practically effective if there are opportunities to act. It depends on the absence of impediments over and above the simple coercion. Liberty is a powerful ideology that requires certain institutional devices like democracy, press, and government, as well as constitutionalism. Otherwise, it may be appealing as a theory, but in practice, the people may not enjoy freedom that is essential to develop freedom to religion and freedom to enjoy constitutionally guaranteed rights. Okay, let me summarize today's lecture. It was about understanding liberty, and as I told you that it is the most important topic of key concepts. Without understanding liberty, we can't go further in other concepts. And liberty is a relative concept, as we can say that one's right is others' duty, and one's liberty must be also curtailed so as to give liberty to others. So, as I told earlier also, that this is the distinguished quality of human being and man. And man is the basic one who demands liberty. No animals, no birds, no insects demanding liberty. So man demands liberty, and he makes institutions to secure liberty for himself. So in today's lecture, we discussed about liberty, its meaning, its scope, its definitions, the views of various thinkers and political scientists about liberty, and we also discussed about its relationship with authority, why it is called license, and what is the freedom of thought and expression, and what is the relationship between liberty and rights, how natural rights are more close to liberty and how they are again transformed and transferred into legal rights. Thus, liberty is a relative concept, and if we want liberty for ourselves, we should also respect the liberty of others. Thank you.